Hello everybody, it's Kirsten from the Montrose Art Centre, MAC, bringing you another MACmakes video. We're not making anything, we're actually transforming very simple things today. We're going to be getting stones and we're going to be painting them. So if you've got stones lying about your garden, that's the ideal place because obviously we know that we don't go down to the beach and the rivers to get them. We just like to have them from places where they're not going to be disturbing anything else. So in your garden's a great idea if you've got them there. Bring them in, give them a wash, let them dry, and then we can paint them. If you live in an urban area where you can't find any in your garden, you could buy some from a DIY store or from a garden store because you can buy bags of pebbles there. They don't have to be big, they can be any size you want. We're just going to show you today a couple of ideas. I've been seeing lots of coloured stones when I've been out for walks. They're absolutely lovely. They put a smile on my face every time I see them. They have lots of different patterns and designs, and some have words written on them, and they just make me smile. And I thought, how lovely. So why don't we do the same with that today? Think about what you would paint on a stone if you had one that you were going to leave somewhere for other people to see. Would it be a love heart? Would it be a rainbow? Would it be sunshine? Would it be a flower or a butterfly or a bumblebee? Or would it be words? I've got a stone here that I've painted and it just says thank you. And I'm going to leave that on my doorstep so that if someone comes like the postie and I don't see them, and they put the post through the letterbox, they'll look down and they'll see thank you and they'll know that they're appreciated. And that's always a lovely thing to do for anybody, to let them know how much that you appreciate them. There's just another one that says thank you. That's just in different lettering with some coloured dots round about. So you could write little messages on these. Why don't you take them, maybe leave them on a wall somewhere. If you see others that have been put somewhere, leave yours beside them, or take them down to the beach or take them to the rivers and add stones to that. That would be fantastic. If you have a lot of stones in your garden, why don't you get some, wash them and put them in a box or a basket at your gate and have a little note saying, blank stones for painting, please take one. And that would be really nice. Somebody else can take them if they don't have a garden of their own. What we will need if we're going to paint them is paint. And I use acrylic paints. They're very good, but you can also use poster paints. I used lots of colours. So I'll show you the palette that I used. You can see the sorts of colours. So very vibrant purples and reds and pinks and yellows and greens and turquoise and blues, all sorts. But if you don't have paints, you can also draw and colour your stones using Sharpies or non-washable felt pens. So please don't worry if you don't have paints. If you do have paints, obviously you'll need paintbrushes, and we really need to use quite fine ones. So the smallest sort of paint brushes that you have would be good. Or if you have any of these, they're dotting tools. They've got two metal prongs coming out of each, one at each end, and each prong has a little metal dot at the end, and that makes little dots with paint. These are actually for nail varnish, so people might find them in beauty shops and things like that, bargain stores. So we've got some painted stones. Now if you want to, you can spray them with varnish or paint them with clear varnish to keep them from getting weathered outside. And depending on what you decorate them with, you might want to actually give them as presents to somebody. Get well in advance for all the birthdays and Christmas and things that you would like to give presents for. And you could make paperweights out of these. So you just get a piece of felt or some other sturdy fabric and you just cut a piece that is about the size of the bottom of your stone and then glue it in place so that when you actually give it to someone, when they put it down on the table, it won't scratch the surface. And that's a lovely gift. The design I'm going to show you how to make just now is a mandala. Now, a mandala is always circular and it is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. And this is my first attempt, and I have to say that I will be making lots of mandalas from now on because I so enjoyed making this one. They're actually really simple, quite time consuming, which is why I've kind of made one first just to show you, and I'll show you how to make a mandala with a few different steps. So this is a stone that I had from my garden, and to start off a mandala you need a circle, and the circle needs to be black. So I would normally make the circle a bit bigger, but it just so that to show you on the stone, I've made it a bit smaller. I have coated this circle with 2 layers of black acrylic paint, letting each one dry thoroughly, and that's my base for my mandala. The mandala pattern starts off with a white circle in the middle, and this is about maybe half the diameter of the flat side of a drawing pin, that sort of size. And then you really just create little circles of dots around this white spot in the middle using one colour. Now I used yellow, so you can see my first layer of dots here. And then what happens after that is you continue to make layers of dots going round every time, keeping going in a circle, keeping going in a circle. But the pattern to this is that when you do your second layer, so you can see my first one is yellow. So imagine this is 1 and 2. My first dot of the next layer is in between those 2 dots. So every time you've got 2 dots, the next time you go on to a next layer, you make your dot in between them. So just look for your 2 dots, make a dot between. Keep doing that. So every time you create another circle, you're getting the circles a little bit bigger, and you're always making sure that they fall between the 2 dots that you just painted. So you'll be able to see more clearly when I show you these 2 lilac ones and the orange ones comes in between, okay? Then these 2 orange ones and the turquoise one comes in between. These 2 turquoise ones and this yellow one comes in between. These 2 yellow ones and the green one comes in between. So that's the pattern that you have to create all the way, making them get bigger as you go round. You might need to do a couple of layers of paint depending on the thickness of your paint. We do need to make sure it's the right consistency. The paint can't be too thick and it can't be too thin. It should never be really watery. It shouldn't be blobbing and running. And it also shouldn't be so thick that when you actually get some on the bottom of your dotting tool or on your brush, when you pop it down, it just comes back off again. So make sure that you just have the right consistency to make it nice and creamy, and it's going to actually behave nicely when you start painting your stone. So I've just drawn a little diagram on here which shows you that that's your first dot there. Then you have your smallest dots round that circle. Then you have your next layer of dots in between each of the ones you did before, but they get slightly bigger, and you keep adding like that as you go. Each time making them slightly bigger, always making sure that your dot falls between the previous 2. This one would definitely make a beautiful present, a beautiful paperweight, especially if you put a nice colour on the bottom, which would really look beautiful. Now I've got several colours in this mandala, so I've actually got several colours of felt, so I have got lots that would look nice with it. If you're using different colours, then you can always choose something that's going to go well with it. You can also just choose one colour and just add tones and shades of that one colour. So you might start off with you always start with a white dot in the middle, always. Doesn't matter what colours you're going to use outside, you always start with white. And then you might say have a purple. You might start off with a really dark purple and then add a little bit of white each time so it gets lighter and lighter, maybe go into a pink or a blue depending on what tone or shade of purple you have. One little tip, whatever colours you're mixing, always start with the lightest one. So in this case, if we were going to be using a colour, a pure colour, and then making shades and tones out of it, you would start with white and then add a little bit of, say, your purple, and then keep adding a bit more for each time you wanted it to be darker. Never start with the darkest colour first, always the lightest. Even if you are using 2 pure colours together, start with, say, a yellow and add a little bit of red to get different oranges, and add the more red you add, the deeper and more vibrant the orange will get. So that's an idea, just if you want to use the one colour, because the tones and shades look beautiful as well. This one obviously has a lot of colours in it, but when you have actually got all your colours, all your circles, and then the magic where you have your white paint and you go back and you dot the tiniest little bit of white on top of every single coloured dot that you have painted. The bigger the dot, the bigger the white circle in the middle. So that's where the magic happens. You can see how much bigger these are as you're getting towards the edge of the stone. And once you get to the very edge, in between these biggest circles, you just do a little row of white dots. Go back and have a look when you're painting the stone, and if there's bigger space, as they get bigger, as the circles get bigger, there's a bigger space, you can put a little coloured dot in between those spaces. So fill up the little spaces, but always make sure that you keep the pattern true. I would definitely like to leave some of these out and about, and you know, it's one of these things that if you're going to either give one as a gift or leave one for someone else, or you could have a cluster of them at your front doorstep if you wanted to. Going up the steps, if you have steps going up to your house, then you could have little rows of different painted stones going up the side. Absolutely beautiful. The sky is the limit for imagination, so please let yours run riot and have lots and lots of fun making our painted stones today. And have a go at our mandala if you fancy doing that as well. Whatever you do, it would be absolutely lovely if you could take photographs of your stones and then send them to us on our page on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. And keep an eye open for our YouTube channel for Montrose Arts Centre as well. Please like, follow, subscribe and share with other people that you think would like to do some of our arts and crafts, because it would just be absolutely lovely if we got lots and lots of people sending pictures in. And if we get lots of pictures, we are going to be putting them up on our social media channels on Saturdays for a little Mac gallery on a Saturday. So please share your pictures. We had some shared on our Facebook page last week of our flowers. It was just great to see what you were doing. So thank you for joining us for the things that we're making. So until we see you again, I would just like to say once again, thank you for joining us. Take care, everybody, and we will see you again next time.